staying in Los Angeles. The NBA announced today that it has fined the Los Angeles Lakers $500,000 for violating the league's anti-tampering rule. This news just came in a minute ago, y'all. This action followed an independent investigation by the law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz. The conduct at issue involved communications by Lakers general manager Rob Pelinka with the agent representing Paul George that constituted a prohibited expression of interest in the player while he was under contract. The penalty reflected a previous warning issued by the NBA to the Lakers regarding tampering, following comments made by Lakers president of basketball operations, Irvin Magic Johnson, about Paul George during an April 20th national television appearance. If I remember, that was on Jimmy Kimmel. The investigation did not reveal evidence of an agreement or understanding that the Lakers would sign or acquire Mr. George. The NBA's anti-tampering rule prohibits teams from interfering with other teams' contractual relationships with NBA players, including by publicly expressing interest in a player who is currently under contract with another team or informing the agent of another team's player of interest by one's own team in the NBA. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to overreact because it's a $500,000 fine. The Lakers can afford it. There was no confiscation of draft picks or anything like that. Fine. But I will say this. It's completely damn bogus still and all. This is Irvin Magic Johnson we're talking about here. He's talking about the talent of a player. He's supposed to get on national television with Jimmy Kimmel and act like a talent like Paul George doesn't interest him when you've got a team bereft of talent like the Los Angeles Lakers? I mean, sitting up there and be like, yeah, shake your head, how you doing? And the wink, wink, really? Because that's basically what you find them about. That's basically what you find them for. Agents communicate with general managers all the time. So essentially what you're doing, league, what you're doing with this independent law firm is that you're finding the Lakers because Paul George told the Indiana Pacers, look, I'm leaving. I want to go to the Lakers, so it might behoove you to trade me now so you could get some compensation. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, next time what the player should do is lie his behind off, don't tell the organization a damn thing, and be done with it. That's basically what it was. Paul George should have said, I want to get traded. Well, Paul George, why do you want to get traded? Well, I really rather not say. That's what he should have done. But because he was honest with the Indiana Pacers about wanting to be a Los Angeles Laker, you trade him and then dime out the Lakers. Bravo, Indiana Pacers. Bravo. You have now given NBA players an excuse to either lie to your damn face or just plead the fifth. I hope you're happy with yourselves. I hope you're happy.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
A couple of things. Kevin Colbert, general manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers, received a 2-year extension, extending his contract through 2020, same amount of time. Mike Tomlin is under contract with the team as well as head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's one thing. The other thing is LaMelo Ball, brother of Lonzo Ball for the Los Angeles Lakers, son of LaVar Ball, Mr. Eccentric himself. Apparently, he's coming out with some shoe, courtesy of the Big Baller brand, of course. We all know about that. Here's what you may not have known. It may violate NCAA regulations and ultimately force him to be ineligible. Lord have mercy. I root for this family, but I just don't know sometimes. I just don't know. To the phones we go at 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Okay, let's go to Anthony in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Anthony? How you doing, man?
Stephen A., how you doing, sir?
I'm right. Talk to me, bro.
Hey, I'm so happy about that Joe Hayden pickup for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really feel that he might be he'll be the person that can step in like Rod Woodson did.
Well, we gotta hope that he can. We gotta hope. He's had some concussion issues. I believe an ankle injury, if I remember correctly. We've got to keep our eyes on him and make sure. Listen, the Steelers, in our perfect world, we'd have a shutdown corner. I don't know if he's considered that anymore. And because we have questions as to whether or not he's considered that any longer, we got to wonder. But I know him personally. He's a great dude. I always see him at the Cavaliers game. Got a lot of love for him. He and I spoke this morning. I'm rooting for him, not just because I love him as a person, but also because he's on my favorite team. But the expectations, I got to wait and see how his health is, because let's face reality. Even though Cleveland is rebuilding and moving in a different direction, we've got to wonder, coming off a 1-15 season, feeling some pressure to at least win a few more games this year, why they let him go. Clearly, a lot of it had to do with the money he was owed, but still, they still were willing to let him go. So we got to we got to monitor how he looks.
And I do understand the injury side of everything because it is a part of the game. I also wanted to ask you, what do you think about T.J. Ward possibly coming over to us?
Wouldn't bother me. I like T.J. He's a hit man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Steelers need a makeover defensively. Listen, you don't have to be the steel curtain, but at least show us that you're aspiring to be it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested in you just scoring points and you being the new millennials version of the 80s San Diego Chargers with Dan Fouts and Kellen Winslow and Charlie Joyner and Chuck Muncie and those boys when they will put up points in bunches but couldn't stop me or you. I want a defense in Pittsburgh. I want a defense and I'm not talking about bending all the time but not necessarily breaking most of the time. I want a defense that's intimidating. I want a defense that's smash mouth that gets up in you. That's what I want to see with the Steelers, man.
And that's normally us. That's normally us.
No, you can't say that. Hasn't been that way for a long time.
It hasn't, but we're definitely just trying to get back there with the T.J. Watt, with the Shazier, as long as he can stay healthy.
Shazier, really? No. I'm not sold. But I appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Let's go to Spanky in California. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Spank?
What's up, Stephen A., man? Hey, I got a quick question for you. Now, the way I look at it with this Cleveland and Boston trade, I feel like this trade for Kyrie Irving was a big deal for Boston. But at the same time, I feel like in trading for Kyrie Irving, I know you get the same player with Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, but with not Avery Bradley. What's the guy's name that's in the trade?
Joe Hayden? I'm sorry. You're talking basketball. Who are you talking about? Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder. I'm sorry. I apologize.
With Jay Crowder being involved in the trade, and you also losing Avery Bradley, and along with Kelly Olynyk, what does that really mean for Boston going forward? Because I feel like they really gutted their team when they traded away Avery Bradley, when they let Olynyk walk. I feel like and then you losing Jay Crowder.
All right, here's what it means. They've sacrificed defense for offense because Bradley is a great on-ball defender and can put up some points, but he ain't the offensive juggernaut that is Kyrie Irving. Okay? Gordon Hayward can ball offensively, but he doesn't bring you defensively what Bradley and along with Kelly Olynyk brought you. So the combination of those two things tells you that Boston got a bit softer defensively, but a bit more formidable offensively.
Okay, so this is why I disagree with Max about Boston winning this trade, because
first of all, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake by even listening to Max when it comes to basketball. Come on now. Max needed to surrender his card today when we were talking about supplementary stars on a team, and he mentioned Pau Gasol. I mean, stop.
Yeah, he kind of lost me with that one. But second question, with the addition of Jay Crowder, Derrick Rose, Isaiah Thomas, if Isaiah Thomas along with the rest of the crew, can come back with LeBron, if Isaiah Thomas is between 85 and 95% with Derrick Rose there, do you see them at least challenging Golden State this season?
Absolutely. And that's exactly where I was going. Specky, let me keep you on the line when I say this to you. There are no excuses. LeBron James, you got 2 starting fives. You lost Kyrie, and you replaced him with essentially 4 starters: Derrick Rose, Jeff Green, Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas. If Isaiah Thomas is healthy, how much of a drop-off offensively is it from Isaiah Thomas, who just finished averaging 28.9 points per game, without LeBron James as his teammate?
Now,
to Kyrie Irving. So I look at it and I'm going like this. If you got those requisite weapons as supplementary parts, and you are the best player in the world, doesn't it come down to whether or not you can deal with Kevin Durant?
Correct. Which Durant brought the game to LeBron James this past finals. I haven't seen that killer instinct in Kevin Durant his whole career. Haven't seen it.
Well, listen, all I'm trying to say to you is this. Here's the way I'm looking at it. LeBron's the best in the world. You got a supporting cast that's capable of helping to deliver the goods. It comes down to you. What you gonna do against Kevin Durant? Because before Kevin Durant was there, you beat the Golden State Warriors, even though it was with some stimulus package handed from Adam Silver to the Cavaliers, courtesy of suspending Draymond Green for that Game 5. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is you won a championship. You erased a 52-year-old curse for Cleveland and all the sports teams. All right, you were the champions walking into this past June's NBA Finals. And you still weren't confident because they had Kevin Durant. What you going to do?
So
that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. Plain and simple.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Always my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. You've known him as the voice of the South, SEC. I know him as an extraordinary football analyst and commentator, hosts his own radio show. Obviously knows a lot about the SEC, but I'm here to tell you he knows a lot about football, period. College and pros. I'm talking about the great one himself, the one and only Paul Feinbaum. He's on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, sir? Good afternoon. How are you? Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for saying that, Stephen. I really appreciate it. And what a blast it was to be on with you this week, although it killed me to have to agree with that other guy. I can't remember his name.
Well, listen. A dead clock is right twice a day. I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure you won't be agreeing with Max too much as the season progresses.
I saw you punish him so badly the other day that I just felt like he needed a cane, a helping hand, a walker, anything.
That's probably
to get
true.
back on his feet.
That's probably true, and you probably agree with him. But guess what? You might not have been able to help yourself because by the time he finishes talking, he's taken about 7 different sides. So you got to pick one of them, But that's neither here nor there, Paul. Let's get right to it. I mean, as we get set for this college football season, it begins tonight. Is Ohio State worthy of being the number 2 ranked team in the nation?
I think they are. Now, listen, Stephen, unlike pro football where you actually have a sample to work with, not that watching preseason games are worthwhile, but, I mean, you're taking a flyer, and I like the hire of Kevin Wilson to be. Ohio State's offense has been in outer space since Tom Herman left in 14. So maybe he can resurrect J.T. Barrett's career. I mean, the guy's been a Heisman Trophy candidate every year, and he barely finished last season. But I think it's really the defense. And besides, they play Oklahoma next week at home. That's not that big of a deal. They do go to Michigan. They have Penn State at home. Schedules really matter in college football, and I think because of that, frankly, I think I like their shot at getting to the playoffs, maybe a fraction even ahead of Alabama.
You brought that up. Are you, and I'm talking about the NFL level right now, are you an advocate or an adversary of preseason football?
Well, I mean, I understand the necessity of it for the NFL, but, Stephen, you remember, they used to play 6 preseason games. Back in the day, and now they play 4, and they probably should play 2 because I mean, is anyone in America outside of the family members of the guys on the cut line watching the games tonight? I mean, are you kidding me? Do you even know they're going on? So I don't like them, and frankly, I think college football ought to have something, maybe scrimmages controlled or whatever, but it's ridiculous to have the biggest game of the year in college football Saturday night And quite frankly, nobody knows what either team is all about.
Paul Feinbaum right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Biggest game of the weekend is going to be Alabama, Florida State. How legit of a contest is that? And I guess by asking that question, how legit is Florida, even with all these damn suspensions handed down by its coach? Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Florida State. I apologize. That's Florida, not Florida State. Florida State is playing Alabama. But I want to know what you thought about Florida State first against Alabama and how legit Florida State is this year.
I think they're very good. I just don't think they're quite in Alabama's league. And by the way, that's not really saying very much because Alabama's in a league of its own, Stephen A. I think it's a good game. I think Alabama will probably win by more than the number, which is 7. This is not going to be 46 points, if you remember last year. Alabama and Southern Cal, and by the way, they turned out to be Alabama's toughest game other than Clemson all year in terms of quality of opponent. So, but, I hear colleagues all week on these two teams mirror each other. They're not, nobody mirrors Alabama. I mean, Alabama is a standalone. You go to one of their practices and you go, oh my goodness. I mean, look at these guys. And all you have to do is look at draft data to know what I'm talking about and to back it up. But Florida State is close. I mean, they are a legitimate team. I think Jimbo Fisher is a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. He has one national championship. He blew the next season in Jameis Winston's final year. But this will be a respectable game. But Florida State is not winning this game.
Why are you so confident with Alabama, considering the fact that Jalen Hurts is such a question mark at the quarterback position? I know that he had a strong year until the last couple of weeks of the season or what have you, but I'm not sold on this guy, Paul. I'm just not. I'm sold on his athletic ability, his playmaking ability, no doubt about it, but I'm not sold on him as a passer. And now Lane Kiffin is gone as your offensive coordinator. Why should we be high on Alabama, particularly on the offensive side of the ball?
That's fair. No, listen, I think this is a downgrade going to Brian Daboll from Lane Kiffin. Daboll failed 3 times in the NFL as a coordinator. He was a tight ends coach for Bill Belichick. Yep. I won't say any more.
Right.
You have a sophisticated audience. But I think what Alabama's going to do, they need some sort of balance on offense. They have Bo Scarborough, who is deadly as a running back. They have a freshman. Nobody has even heard his name. His name is Najee Harris, who was the best running back in the country last year coming out of college. And I hear he's ready to play, although there's no place for him to start. So and they also have Calvin Ridley, who's one of the better wide receivers. So I just think they have to simplify it. You don't need Jalen Hurts running every time like they did last year, but a little bit down the field is all they need, Stephen. They don't need a lot from that end of the field.
What did you think about Florida's Coach McElwain suspending some of these players?
Well, first of all, I love it when people call them, so you got to give them a lot of credit. You don't have to give them any credit at all. It's a mandatory thing. If you're involved in a credit card fraud on your campus, you're not playing in a game while you're still investigating it. Because if you do play one of these guys, you may have to forfeit the game later. So I mean, it's a mess. They're now up to 10 players suspended. I don't think they need a 747 to take the team to Dallas tomorrow. Do you? With 10 guys off the team, they could get a prop jet and probably still make it. But I still don't know if Michigan is that great. And Florida has lost 10 players, but Michigan has to replace 10 starters on defense, and that's why I still give Florida a chance to win this game, a pretty good chance, actually.
How do you feel about the job McElwain has done since, obviously, Urban Meyer used to be there and had tremendous success. They haven't been on the map to the degree that he had them on the map. How do you feel about the job McElwain has done at Florida?
I think he's done a credible job. I'll give you the stat you hear all the time. He's been to 2 SEC title games, but he's gotten blown out in both. He's lost to Florida State. He also lost to Michigan badly. So, I mean, this is a big game for him, and it's a big year for him because Florida fans are the first cousin of Alabama fans when it comes to expectations. I mean, they expect to get there every year. They're not like some of these fan bases that go 8-4 is a good season. They expect to be playing for an SEC championship and be in the college football playoff. And if he can't do that this year, then you're going to hear a lot of grumbling about him. By the way, another former Nick Saban assistant.
Paul Feinbaum right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What do you think about, Jim Harbaugh and these boys having their own podcast and, they're going to be communicating, Jim and John and the Harbaugh family and all of that other stuff? What have been your thoughts about that, this being associated with college football, knowing college football the way that you do?
Well, first of all, I know I'll tick off our bosses here, but I've yet to figure out why everyone is fascinated with podcasts. I know you probably have to mention it 10 times an hour. Don't forget to listen to our podcast.
Actually, I refuse to. Listen. I refuse to mention that. I actually do. But go ahead, Paul.
I'm glad you do, because I don't have the kind of juice you do, so I have to do it at the end of the show. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to it. If they want to do it, fine. But I think everyone in America has a podcast right now, and it'd be great to hear Jim Harbaugh with a personality, though. Maybe he'll show it on the podcast, because he certainly hasn't shown it in 2 years of coaching at Michigan and the previous 5 or 6 years in San Francisco.
But I guess what I'm specifically asking, Paul, is that do you think this gives him some kind of advantage, per se, over other college football programs? What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. Listen, everybody has to try to find an edge somewhere. It doesn't really bother me very much that he's doing it. I think it's more interesting when you think about what he's done the last 2 years. He took a team to Florida, to the IMG Academy, to have spring practice, which was legal, by the way. And this year he took a team to Rome. And by the way, next year he's going to Normandy. And they can afford it, Stephen A. Michigan can afford to do it. Nobody else can, other than maybe Alabama, Penn State, and Ohio State. To me, that's a bigger issue.
Paul Feinbaum, always appreciate you, buddy. Looking forward to watching some college football all weekend long. Before I let you go, who you got winning tonight? Ohio State, Indiana. I'm assuming that's Ohio State, right?
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, with all due respect to trying to crank this game up and make it interesting, it's not. I think it's going to be a blowout, and Ohio State after halftime will start getting ready for Oklahoma next Saturday.
What about Florida, Michigan?
I may be crazy here, but I still like Florida by a field goal. I just think Michigan's overrated. They shouldn't be in the top 10 or 11. They are only because of Jim Harbaugh.
What about Alabama, Florida State? You're picking Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 10-point game. I don't think it's a blowout. Primarily because I don't think you're going to see a lot of scoring. I think the first team to 20 is probably going to win this game. And Nick Saban he respects the other side of the ball. Derwin James of Florida State, the safety, may be one of the best 2 or 3 players in the country. Nick Saban's not going to take any chances on that.
What do you think USC is going to do this year?
I like them. And again, I'll spare you the hype on Darnold. I think everyone knows how good he is. I'm still questioning the coaching out there. Helton, to me, last year was awful at the beginning of the year and nearly got fired. They got it together. I don't know why it took them so long to realize that Sam Darnold was his best quarterback. But I still think, in spite of Helton, they have a legitimate shot at getting to the playoffs. So keep your eye on a game next week, though. Stanford comes to town. That's an early season game. Stanford played last week in Australia, wherever they played, in a game that nobody watched, and that should give them maybe a little bit of an edge, having an extra, having played 2 weeks ago and getting a little more under their belt.
Yeah, I might have to go to that game. I might have to check that out so I can see Darnold in person. Let me see what he's got. Appreciate the time as always, Paul. Thanks so much, buddy. Talk to you soon.
It was my pleasure. Anytime, Stephen A.
Give Stephen A. piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Kick that music. Oh. 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 Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio right here with you. Let me tell you something. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, look, they're the gift that keeps on giving. Jerry Jones. This is Jerry Jones. Just reading from some notes here about Jerry Jones. Appears to have no problem with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's decision to designate Harold Henderson as the arbitrator in the Ezekiel Elliott appeals hearing that's been taking place since Tuesday. Listen to this quote by Jerry Jones, who's basically implying that Henderson is neutral enough to fairly rule on Elliott's appeal. Quote, Harold is a really great friend of mine, Jones said. He was at my Hall of Fame party. And so you weren't at that party unless you were a good friend. I can promise you that. So then they asked him, is that a yes in terms of the neutral party? He says, I don't know. But he's a friend, and of course, that's the way it would be. He managed the NFL Management Council for maybe 15 years. I served on it. He's very competent, but the main thing is he's a guy that I admire a lot. Former policeman, former attorney. He comes through it the hard way, literally. So basically, I mean, this is like a Trump tweet for crying out loud, okay? That's what this is. Because Jerry Jones is basically saying, look, he's my friend. This is what friends do for one another. He knows how much I need Ezekiel Elliott. He better cut the suspension down. This is interesting, man. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens. I'm telling you, man. I mean, the man just basically admitted he's my friend. That's why I'm going to get a reduction in the suspension at the very least. Watch. And he's probably right. Fritz in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Huge fan with my twin brother, Franz. We're first-time callers.
Thank you.
I'm just so concerned. Huge Giants fan. We have all these weapons. We got Beckham. We got Brandon Marshall. We got Ingram. We got even Sterling Shepard. But everybody keeps saying we have all these weapons, but what about the offensive line?
Your offensive line stinks. And you know how bad your offensive line is? You went out and got what you thought was somebody that would help upgrade it, and his last name is Fluker.
Flowers, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Why are you laughing? You're a Steelers fan deep down inside.
No, I know. It ain't no deep down inside. It's right on the damn surface, too. I am a Steelers fan. No question about it. But what I'm saying...
But the Giants, are we the team to beat? Still with our banged-up offensive line. I mean, I do not trust Flowers. He was horrible last year. Like, just completely not good. What do you think?
Well, listen, your offensive line is going to stink, which means your running game is going to be suspect, and Eli's not going to be protected as much as you would like him to be protected. The flip side to it, however, is the receiving corps, particularly with the addition of Brandon Marshall, is going to be big time. And the defense is no joke either. So the combination of a defense along with a big-time passing game, combined with at least a 4-game suspension of Ezekiel Elliott, assuming it gets reduced from 6 to 4, should put you in position to win the NFC East. That's my response.
Okay, by week 16, what do you think our record would be?
I think you're going to be 11-5. I think Dallas will be 10-6.
But Ezekiel Elliott, just what you're saying with the suspensions and stuff like that, he's going to have a lot to prove. And you know what? You don't feed the beast. And he's going to have fresh legs. That's a whole month off. You just don't know.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I wish you luck. I wish the Giants luck. I certainly root for them more than I root for the Cowboys. But these are all legitimate questions that you have, Fritz, and that's just the way it's going to be. You're going to have to get over it. You're going to have to let the games play themselves out, and you're going to have to take advantage and see what you're ultimately able to do. You open the season against Dallas, then got Detroit, Philadelphia, Tampa, the Chargers, Denver, and Seattle. Rough first 6-7 weeks. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.